Alright, hey everybody. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this or if I'm just going to use this for my own purposes. Garden's starting to come alive. Got a lot of iris popping up. Alliums. Yarrow. Salvias. Bunch of things coming out of the ground. Here's some Artemisia. Another Artemisia up there, that silvery one. My little mound Artemisia coming back. So it doesn't look like much, but I've actually done a ton of work on this terrace in the past couple of days. I cut back all of my garden sage over there. That comes up really pretty with fresh growth, so it looks terrible right now, but that will soon grow out. Right here, last year I had a big thing of lamb's ear. I transplanted all of that lamb's ear and I've cut it into pieces and put it up along the second terrace along the leading edge. And so when that fills out, it's going to create like a solid border that runs along this entire front leading edge. I think that's going to help prevent the mulch and the dirt from washing down, and also just kind of create like a nice pretty silver, like a hedge that will like make it more organized with all of the, taller flowers and stuff behind it. So that's one of the big projects that I have tackled. Same thing with that other end over there. I had lamb's ear on this end as well. Now, I transplanted lavender from my rose garden down to here. There's 3 on this end, and then there's 3 on the other end, and they look really dead. I did see a tiny bit of green growth on 2 of them. I don't know if they're going to come back or not. If they don't, I'll just replace them, because I wanted to put 3 lavender on each side. And again, I just don't know if they're going to survive the transplant, but we'll see what happens. Also, I moved my big Monarda that was right here that I was talking about moving. The one that was down there on that end that I also was going to move actually just didn't come back up. So I was afraid it wasn't going to make it. It was looking really bad at the end of last year. We had such bad drought, and I think it just couldn't take it. But this one over here was more established, and it was a huge clump. I dug all of that up. I'm going to transplant that elsewhere because I just didn't want something that was getting like 6 feet tall right there. So now I have transplanted my oregano into that back corner, and then in front of the oregano is going to be the hardy hibiscus there. I've got my yarrow bed, salvia. This is where like my sedums and cactuses and stuff are mainly planted. There's also lots of little spring bulbs that you can see popping up. Some of these things I literally don't remember planting, but I must have done it last year. What else have I done? Oh, on this middle terrace, I planted 120 anemone corms. I think that's what they're called, or bulbs. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I planted, oh my goodness, 60, yeah, it was like 60 white and 60 red. So hard to explain how I did it, but I think the white is mostly like right here, and then I transitioned to red kind of in the middle, and then I transitioned back to white again on that edge. So, and when I say red, it's actually supposed to be Bordeaux, so it's like the one that has the blue center, and it's kind of a wine color red. I'm hoping I don't really want red, so if I do get red, which I've seen some people complain online that when their anemones came up, they were actually like a true red, not Bordeaux. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping for that Bordeaux color because it was really pretty. What else did I do? Basically just cutting back everything, like all my grasses, all the dead perennial tops and everything. I've pretty much cut those back. There's a lot of leaf trapped in the just in amongst, random plants and stuff. And we're supposed to have some really strong winds here this weekend and more storms. So I'm hoping that between the winds and, rain and whatever, that some of that kind of gets blown out. But yeah. Oh, there were some salvias up here that I talked about transplanting, some pink salvias. Well, I did transplant, I think like 4 or 5 of them, but I left 3 right here in the front. So there's still going to be 3 pink salvia right there in the front. And then I have like a patch of verbascum. It's a yellow, tall, spiky flower that kind of pops up through there. So I like the look of that with the pink. There's another verbascum right there that I can see. It kind of looks like lamb's ear, but it's actually verbascum. By the way, sorry that my hands probably look gross, but I do gardening and then I have no water at this house. So if my hands get dirty, they're just dirty until I leave to go wash them somewhere. So yeah, I transplanted some of that pink salvia that was over there and I added it to this clump over here because I had a really beautiful, oh no, wait, sorry, that's the wrong one, right here. I had a beautiful clump of pink salvia here last year that was right next to my pink yarrow, and the 2 of them looked fabulous side by side. However, a lot of my pink salvia died toward the end of summer, and again, I think it was probably just because of lack of water, even though that is a drought resistant plant. I mean, when I tell you we had like 6 months with no rain, I mean it. Like, the storm that blew my tree down was one of the last of the summer, and then it just like stopped, and then we had no rain or even snow until like February. So my garden kind of suffered out here with no water, but most of it is making it. Most of it is hardy enough to come back. What else have I transplanted? There's like, I want to say 6 or 7 purple salvia in this middle terrace here. I was going to transplant those, but I decided not to. I think my clump of purple salvia over here is big enough, and salvia adds so much color, and I just figured it couldn't hurt to leave. That's why I left some of that pink over there as well. So I left some of the pink and purple in this middle area. This area is kind of barren in here, but again, I planted a bunch of those anemones. Now, because I'm just getting them in the ground and it's end of March, they're not going to bloom at their normal time this year. Not even 100% sure they will bloom, but they should bloom this summer, I would think. And then next year, it should be earlier on schedule, like early to mid-spring, I think. So yeah. So just a reminder what it's going to look like. We're going to have that really pretty oregano in the back corner on each side of these kind of corners of my terrace will be oregano, and then in front of the oregano is my hardy hibiscus. You can see the stems from last year. I just didn't cut that all the way back because it was too thick for my loppers, but that will come back from the ground. And same as on the other side, I have the same situation. I have some oregano in the corner and a hardy hibiscus in front of it. And that oregano will shoot up straight in the back at first, and then it will tip forward and kind of go around the hardy hibiscus. And it is just the biggest pollinator attractant that I've ever personally seen. I'm sure I'll discover other things that, you know, work really well, but that in my garden so far, that was the best one. I also had extra because the oregano had done spreading, so I moved a clump. Goodness, I don't remember. I think it's like right back here, back against that wall on this middle terrace. And then I know I put one in that back corner as well. So kind of back over there behind the iris. And then there might be a third one. I feel like I did a third one. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, that was one of my goals, was to spread around the oregano because it's really pretty and it just really draws the pollinators. I'm seeing a lot of kind of like as I was planting those corms and I was digging through the mulch and stuff, I'm seeing a lot of things that are growing up under there that are coneflower seedlings and stuff like that. So this middle area, although it looks kind of empty, is going to start filling in with that type of thing. So all we need now is some really strong rain and temps to start warming up, and this terrace garden is going to burst into life really quickly. If I don't get activated to go to work tomorrow, I'm planning to come back and start working on that top terrace. So I need to take down all of that dead, what that is up there is I had a tomato garden at the very top. I know it seems silly to put it there, but it was full sun, and the area that I would normally put those was not available to me last year. So I just decided for 1 year to do my tomatoes right there. But anyway, I need to clean that up, and then I'm gonna clean up all my roses and stuff. Really nothing I can do to make that area look good since they've dropped all that fence debris and it's still there. There's a lot up there that's still a mess. So yeah, now that I've got these two bottom terraces kind of where I want them, everything is cut back. The spring bulbs that I wanted to plant are planted. The grasses are cut back. Like everything is ready now just to kind of grow and come forward. So the bottom two terraces are good. I would like to add more mulch or compost to them, but I'll probably wait like another month or two for that. And yeah, other areas I still haven't tackled at all. I need to clear out the 4 o'clock beds here and here on the bottom. And I have more seed that I gathered from last year, so I'm just gonna add some more seed to both of these beds. And then I'm probably gonna put another bag of compost on each bed just to kind of put those seeds, you know, into something nice. These two, kind of what I refer to as the middle terraces here. I'm going to be cutting back these grapevines and probably transplanting them somewhere else. I've tried for 2 or 3 years in a row growing the grapevines along my stair handles, my railings, because I think the railings are ugly, and I was trying to disguise them with something pretty, but it just gets really out of control with the vines, and especially with me not being here to like constantly tie them up and train them and stuff, it's just too much. So I'm going to redo these beds completely. I haven't decided yet what I want to do with them. These two just need to get cleaned out and cut back. This is dead peony, so I need to get that next time I'm here, probably tomorrow. And that is spirea. I always cut that back to the ground after winter, and then it flushes out pretty green growth, and it grows really quickly. Same exact thing on this side. There's another peony here and another spirea there that needs to get cut back. And then pretty much everything in my upper yard area is, well, I shouldn't say everything. This garden over here, I might work on this here because it's not in the way of the construction. But like everything over here, I'm either going to be like moving it, transplanting it out so that it isn't harmed by the construction, or something, I don't know. And speaking of construction, I haven't done any updates for you guys all winter because not really much has happened. I don't even want to talk about it. It gets me annoyed that everything has taken so long. But basically, the builders have been given like a third of the amount of money that it takes to get this entire job done. And so now that they have that chunk of money, which just happened here about a week ago, because it took that long to get it from my mortgage company, who I had to pay the insurance money to in the first place. So when the insurance payout happened, they paid it to me and the mortgage company. I guess that's how it works because the house isn't paid off. So it goes to the mortgage company to hold on to that money, not me. So when I received the check in the mail, I had to mail it to my mortgage company, and then we had to wait for them to release the money to the builders. So they did release like $10,000 up front, but then it's taken all of this time to get another, I'm not going to say the amount, but let's just say a third of the amount of this total rebuild released. And so now that the builders have that, things should start going quickly. But every time I thought things are going to start moving along, they haven't. We were hoping to be back at our house by the beginning of summer. You know, they said spring/summer last year when this happened. And now they've pushed back that estimate to like September or October. So that's basically what we're looking at until we get moved back in. So I'm annoyed. It's depressing. I don't even like talking about it. But as spring goes on and the gardening season moves on, there should also be quite a lot of building happening now that they've got that first chunk of money. And then how it works is like once they get some things accomplished, then an inspector comes out and says, okay, you've accomplished 50% of the work. Now you get the next installment of money. And so that's how these things move along, apparently. I'm just learning this as we go. So I guess that's about it for the update on the house. The inside, I don't have the key to get inside actually because there's a lockbox on it and I don't remember the code, but there's nothing really to see in there anyway. So yeah, like I said, I'm not even sure if I'm going to post this. I might just use it to remind myself of what I've already done. Last year I posted a video in March and it's depressing how bad the garden looks. Like there's not a single good shot that I can capture. So, you know, it's not something that's going to draw people to watch it anyway. We've got some bad weather coming in because it's red. It's going to look away. This back. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. I put some rocks on it so it stops blowing away. I'm about to leave. I got so much work to do. But at least the weather's starting to feel nice. It's probably 70-ish. Oh, I do have some blooms. Let's see. Dwarf irises that I think I planted last year. Those are looking cute. And I also have some hellebores popping up. So, but I still gotta come through and clean out this bed. Maybe tomorrow. Some little groups of those, like every so often. I don't think all of them came back up though. Alright. Well, just wanted to kind of catch you guys up. Last year, the first video that actually looked good happened in May, so that's when I'll probably actually start posting regularly. Oh, one more thing I said I was going to get done, and I did get done, is I transplanted those big grasses. There was one in that corner and one in that corner down there, and I said I was going to put one on this side and one on this side of my stairs. So I got that done. When those grow out, I think that'll look really nice, kind of flanking the stairs. And I started laying mulch down here so that the grass and weeds don't start in the hell strip. Oh, I also transplanted this ground cover right here, which was roughly right there. I decided to move it down here. I was going to get rid of it altogether, but then I was looking back at, I think it was one of my May videos from last year, and this had the prettiest white flowers all over it. And I damaged its roots pretty badly when I was pulling this out of the ground, so I don't know how good it's going to actually look this year. I mean, hopefully it even survives, but assuming that it survives and gets through this year, this makes a really pretty white kind of mounding flower type thing. And then I've ordered some ground hug aronia to fill in this area where the mulch is, because I don't want to lay mulch every year. It's just basically to cover, to keep the grass and weeds from coming through. And then, like I said, I'm going to plant the ground hug aronia, and that should eventually fill in all of this space. And it's a spreading ground cover, but it also blooms in spring with white flowers. It's pretty. And then in the fall, it gets really beautiful red color, like red and, you know, auburn and orange and all kinds of colors. So it has multi-season interest for me, and it will prevent the weeds, and eventually it'll prevent me from having to even mulch in this area. Like, I'll probably have to mulch for 4 or 5 years until it like fills in, but that's my eventual plan, is to have this whole area filled in. But I didn't want to do it with like more flowers and stuff because I have so much going on these terraces, and I think they're really pretty, but it's a lot of work, and I just wanted to keep this health strip right here simple. Like my main goal with the health strip was just, I don't want to have to mow it anymore. And now that the curb is fixed and, you know, the road is better and all that stuff, like it's going to look way nicer. I just don't want to have the upkeep of mowing grass or dealing with the weeds and all that. And then you can see on this end, I still have a ways to go. So I've got to pull up all of this like netting stuff that they put down, because they did plant grass and then they put this netting over it, but it didn't do anything. Like there's hardly any grass. There's just weeds and leaves. So I'm pulling that up maybe next time I come, and I will get around to finishing the mulch in this area. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Pretty soon we'll have some tulip blooms, I guess. I have tulips that come back in that area, and a few others. And the funny thing is, some of them are red, and I know I never purposely planted red, but they are pretty. Like, I don't dislike them, so I haven't pulled them out or anything. But I've discovered that deer are eating tulips as well, so that's not something I'm planting anymore. Now in this garden, that was one of the reasons why I bought all those anemone bulbs, is because I read online that deer will not eat anemones, they won't eat daffodils, and they won't eat hyacinth. So those are probably like the 3 flowers that I'm going to be putting in here for like spring blooms as far as bulbs go, if I do add any more. And I just won't put any tulips in this area. If I do buy more tulips, they'll go back into the fenced in part of our yard. But I guess the ones that are already here can stay for now. All right, well, I guess that's it. Talk to you guys next time.